Marco Mazzoli on respect, and to AEW Full Gear out of 10. And yeah, blockbuster show. Loads of really incredible matches on the go. The announcement of a big signing as well from Tony Khan, so there is a lot going on. And yeah, we're going to start off with the 0 hour before we got to the big juicy stuff on the main show with the ROH title on the line. It was Eddie Kingston taking on Jay Lethal. And yeah, we're stokely halfway watching from commentary. Jeff Jarrett and all of his lot made their presence felt at ringside with no repercussions. Lethal controlled the pace and dominated the action, and gritty Kingston never gave up, fighting his way back into bout. Just like Jarrett's trademark guitar will play a factor in the closing moments of the contest. Ortiz appeared and blasted that with it. The distraction allowed Kingston to rock Lethal a backfist and secure a successful title defense. It was a good enough match to start the show, with too much attention paid to those at ringside. Hathaway's intensifying vendetta against the champion on commentary, and Ortiz reunited with his friend following the cash. Kingston had earned the better of his ROH title reign, wasting the opening match kickoff shows in half-empty arenas too. So yeah, it wasn't memorable, but I think it did the job. Solid match to start off with, and I think we kind of went the way we all expected. A 6 out of 10. Before it's time for Buddy versus Claudio. And yeah, take two wrestlers like these, and yeah, it's going to be an incredible match with no interference, neither man disappointed, and yeah, delivering a good hard-hitting match that saw both men bruised and welted, but in which Casanoli ultimately won with the sharpshooter. This match did nothing further any or between BCC and House of Black, but it did provide fans with a preview of things to come later in the main show, with great in-ring action and a quality win for Claudio, even if Matthews could have used the victory more in a way. So yeah, it gets 7 out of 10 from me. It was good without being really blow away great. But you know, for a pre-show, I thought, yeah, about as good as you'll get. Before it's time for the RH Tag Title match, MJF and Samoa Joe versus the Guns. And yeah, he didn't want to tag Joe, even though he had him on his back at one point, but ultimately realised he needed the support of the Destroyer to win the titles. Joe provided just that, rolling late in the match as he took the fight to the challengers. When Austin and Colton Gunn got the best of him, Adam Cole made a surprise appearance, but provided a distraction and allowed Joe to score the win with a Coquina clutch. After the match, the heels beat down MJF and destroyed his knee with a steel chair, creating doubt about his ability to defend the title. And yeah, a cliffhanger ending to 0 hour. Solid match, strong storytelling, and a great angle to kick this off, made it the best part of the kickoff show would be. So yeah, 7 out of 10 from me. Before we got on to the main show, and it was a 6-man match with Sting in there, Adam Copeland, etc. This match featured jaw-dropping bunch from Allen, and both characters working spectacle, befitting the legendary competitors that play in this match. Was it a great match? Not by any stretch of the imagination, even less so by the time Ric Flair got involved. Third place Christian for hitting him though. Still, it was a fun opener with considerable energy and an appropriate finish, with Cowardly Cage leaving his teammates behind to fight his battle for him. It did not go so well for now, and the question becomes whether the feud between the two sides will continue, or what each man moves on to next. Yeah, I'd like to see Copeland and Christian feud continue, that's for sure. But yeah, this gets a 7 out of 10 for me. A solid but unremarkable start to the show. Before it's time for Cassidy versus Mox for the international title. And yeah, this was a great point with Cassidy kind of getting his biggest win in AEW so far, retaining his title. Freshly squeezed, deserve everything at Mox for him, bloodying his challenger and rocked him with 6 orange punches before following the breach break. It was an appropriate conclusion to the story that gone on for months and a defining moment for Cassidy. Mox does not lose like this. He's so rarely on the losing side of the match, and definitely not this definitively, and it means more. It was more memorable. Above all, it's a sign of respect that the former world champion has to Cassidy. They'd be willing to put him over to this extent. A big moment for Cassidy, a strong match and strong storytelling, a red hot crowd really helped put over the significance of this moment, because yeah, it really did feel like a big moment for Cassidy here, and yeah, an absolutely huge win for him. It gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Before it's time for Shida versus Timeless Tony Storm, and Timeless Tony Storm regained the title in a shenanigans-filled match that never really lived up to the promise of the talent involved. It was incessant interference from Storm's butler Luther and cheating from the challenger. This finish came when a stuffed metal tray in the back and helped her tights and delivered a running hip attack in the corner. Despite the questionable quality of the match itself, there's no denying what it meant for this character Storm created. It was a coronation of the Timeless One, and the appearance of Mariah May at the conclusion of the bout continued to plant feeds of where that's going to go in the coming months. Given how many character incarnations she's had since AEW she debuted, it's really great to see something different getting over to this point, and her championship she could not be denied. So yeah, despite maybe a slightly disappointing match, we're not going to take that away from her. It gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Before it's time for the 4-way ladder match for the tag titles, Ricky Starks and Big Bill defended their title, and yes, some people enjoyed the Fast and Furious franchise because because it's loud, obnoxious, and features jaw-dropping action and car crashes, this was the equivalent of that. There's no lead story here, just moves, high spots, big bumps and ladder climbs before Starks was able to rock Wheeler with one of the belts, knocking him to the mat and allowing Absolute to secure the title defence. The conclusion to the Fast franchise is not intended to be an insult. It's extremely successful and has a huge fan base. That does not mean it's right for everyone though. The effort was there and everyone involved worked hard. While there's no thread holding it together, it's more of the same level of stuff we see across multiple promotions. At least the right team went over here. As great as FTR is and as refreshing as the NFI or House of Black would have been the champions, it kind of did feel like they needed to retain here. And yeah, I like these kind of matches, and I thought, yeah, like I said, the right result. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It was then time for the TBS title freeway, and yeah, the house did not always win on Saturday night, but Julia Hart held up her end of the deal, bringing gold to the House of Black. The match was better than expected, with some solid timing and a few really clever spots. It saw Hart and Blue putting aside their differences on more than one occasion to take down Stat. The champion continued to fight at one point, and obliterated with Blue with a Saturday Night Fever, and allowed Hart level Statlander, pinned her rival and won her first title. Hart, like Storm a few matches earlier, had spent considerable time rebuilding momentum for herself. After showing considerable improvements during this recent push, she had her efforts repaid in this form of a title triumph. There's an argument to be made that Blue should not have even eaten the pin, given the fact that she is in the midst of a character transformation which is rarely protected, like Statlander, who is likely to be in the first challenger for Hart in a rematch scenario. So yeah, this gets 6 out of 10 from me. But moving on into the Dexys Death match. But before that, Will Ospreay is all elite. The aerial assassin was revealed as the latest signing, but he won't be coming until he's finished up with New Japan after Wrestle Kingdom, and he did challenge Tony Khan to find a top opponent, especially one at Wembley. And yeah, buzzing with that, a big addition to the roster and a legitimate main eventer. And yeah, I can't wait to see what he does when he arrives in AEW. Before it was time for Paige and Swerve to settle their difference in a Texas death match. One issue was one of the most violent, grisly, graphic matches in company history. It's fit in the story that Paige was vengeful, looking to punish Strickland for invading his home, threatening his family. The crowd cringed with every time the cameras focused on the crimson masked faces of the competitors, reacting for every high spot and chanted, "This is awesome," even if it wasn't. The adrenaline-filled, urgent burst of energy. Brian Cage interfered, but paid for it, and Paige finally got a measure of revenge on Prince Nana by driving him through a table. It was Strickland's use of the cinder block and steel chain that ultimately ended him the hard-fought victory. The match developed into a great hardcore match, but misses maybe a 10 out of 10 because of the use of staple gun early on, which some people may have liked, but personally I thought, yeah, it added more to it. And yeah, Strickland's a made man now. Fans were already totally behind him, and even more so after the victory. This is kind of his Austin at WrestleMania 13 moment, and passed with flying colours. He's a future world champion now, without a doubt. And yeah, this gets 9 out of 10 from me. Like I say, a memorable match. Yeah, lived long in the memory. Really put over Strickland. And yeah, some of the spots were pretty insane, I have to say. We then got Jericho and Omega taking on the Young Bucks. And yeah, this was more than hard feelings and bragging rights at stake. Though as a win for the Jets meant they would receive the Bucks AEW tag title opportunity. Though it appeared as though Omega might have a close friendship over championship aspirations, he proved loyal to Jericho, rocking Matt Jackson with a V-trigger. The action will intensify from here, culminating in a one-in angel by Omega to Matt for the win. After the match, the infuriated hometown heroes, having lost the championship opportunity and seen their friends take another hit, for a fit destroying the ringside area, and refused to sign a respect from Omega. From a logic standpoint, the Bucks could have utilised their title opportunity at any point, but held on to it for long enough to lose it. That's their fault and makes them look silly. Beyond that, the match struggled to get the crowd back after preceding what had happened before, but they invested them as late. Once the competitors went through their action-heavy chasing sequence, the post-match firmly established Bucks as heroes, and it'd be interesting to see where they go moving forward, potentially in alliance with Don Callis. But yeah, lots of questions for that. I enjoyed the storytelling. A match involving these four is always going to be top-notch as well. So yeah, it gets an 8 out of 10 from me. MJF was then defending his title against Switchblade Jay White, or supposedly Adam Cole, with Cole stepping up in the MJF injury. But Booker of the Year stuff right here. MJF drove back into the arena, Alice Stone Cold in a Vince Russo fever dream, and hit the ring to defend his title. Yeah, pretty predictable. But what ensued was a match that did not live up to the efforts of men involved. Both MJF and White worked hard, but lack of consistency made it kind of not the best main event we've seen. The entire story was based around an injured leg, and one that was only injured when it needs to be, and not when there was a high spot to execute. There was a referee bump, incessant cheating late, and Superman booked the main event, and babyface the likes of John Cena would be proud. The adds to the fact that White looks like the biggest loser on the planet after failing to beat a one-legged champion. even with his whole best ring ringside. You have a main event that kind of wasn't that great. A main event that never needed the overbacking that started the injury angle earlier in the night and devolved into a creative mess it became. Is MJF a fantastic wrestler? Absolutely. Does he need to be overbooked like this? Probably not. What does it need to avoid the same booking tropes that turned against resilient babyfaces in the Fed over the years? And yeah, why it's no longer because he failed to overcome a champion who competed on one leg for most of the match, despite using the belt to advantage and having the chance to do so again with the ring. It was not great booking of White, and it unnecessarily complicated the show long storyline, allowing Cole in the mix in the first place. An inconsistent mix from selling a student of the game that is usually way better and stuff like that. On a positive note, the crowd was hot, but yeah, maybe the booking I wasn't totally in favour of. Some of the action we got was good, but yeah, for me it kind of just didn't all make sense. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Overall, AEW Full Gear gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Yeah, brilliant Full Gear for me. I really enjoyed it. Pretty much from start to finish. Some of the action we got, Swerve, Hangman, like I said, will live long in the memory. Brilliant storytelling as well. And just some top action. Will Ospreay, All Elite, very hyped by that. Just on the whole, a really fun night of wrestling. And yeah, an AEW pay-per-view that for me pretty much delivered. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and let's talk daily wrestling news and subscribe to the channel. It's going to be greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.